Hi, everyone. I'm John C. Morley, the host of the JMOR Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey everyone, it is John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur here, and welcome once again to another fantastic episode of the JMOR Tech Talk Show. I can't believe, Marcus, we are on the second week of June. Can you believe that? Welcome.
Yeah. Summer's already to a head, so.
Summer's there is definitely has started, I should say. And lots of great things happening. And just to let you guys know, we have some good guests coming up. We've been trying to get you a guest about once a month. I have probably over 14 books I need to read. So I need to catch up. But we have some great guests coming up. We have a guy from France who's a coach that'll be on. We've got some other international guests coming on. And again, as you guys know, I read everybody's book cover to cover. I don't just skim it. I read the whole book. One lady sent me her book, and she sent me like 10 or 12 other little play toys with the book. So lots of great stuff. And you guys know that I have started my book, hopefully finishing that book by the end of the summer, 25 Gifts of Inspiration to Change Your Life and Everyone Else in It. So really excited about that. But let's get right into the thick of things, shall we? So for those of you that have been following, I'm sure you guys know there's still been some issues with COVID around the globe, unfortunately. Let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, COVID is a cold. It's a little bit more than a cold. And just like a cold never goes away in the world, COVID's never going to go away. So I think we've got to be mindful of the fact and how to protect ourselves. But I don't think we need to become like this society of panicked warriors. I still see people, they're standing 25 feet and they still have a mask on. I mean, like, seriously?
Yeah, I'm seeing double masks, John. It's kind of crazy.
I was at the supermarket the other night and they have a mask on. And I'm like, really? And some of my neighbors are still wearing masks. And like, don't they understand that the mask doesn't really protect you?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really, really crazy. And I guess people they're not really going to wake up. I don't think they're ever going to go back to not wearing masks, some of these people. Well, in some very interesting news, we talk about things that's, it's important and things that, you guys definitely want to know about. Well, Instagram launches an Amber Alert. Now, how many of you out there know what an Amber Alert is? Okay, so let me tell you. So an Amber Alert to notify users of missing children in their area. And I got to say kudos to this. Now, of course, you know who owns Instagram, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Facebook, Meta. So I got to be honest with you. I don't think they're doing this because they just wanted to do this. I say things the way they are.
Right.
People can like me, love me, or hate me, and I really don't care. They're doing this, Marcus. You and I both know this. They're doing this for a PR push.
Yeah. Yeah, they needed to do something that to get them out the hot water. And this was just the perfect go-to. It really made a lot of sense, especially after the whole report about how Instagram really affects kids. So it looks really fluffy and really pretty.
It looks good, but at the end of the day, I don't think their heart is really here. I think it's just something that didn't cost them a lot of money. Hey, we'll throw this at it. We got some resources, and it'll make us look good, and we'll be in the news.
Exactly.
So for those of you that don't know what an Amber Alert is, it's activated by law enforcement. And if you are in the designated search area, the alert will appear on your phone, which it's been doing for quite a few years. But now it will appear on your Instagram feed if you're in that area. So definitely a great thing, since we all know people have nomophobia, where they can't be separated from their phone or they'll be seriously injured, unfortunately. And so this is a way, I think, to combat that. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we see other social media companies following suit, such as LinkedIn, YouTube. I think it may not be a bad idea.
It's
And
not.
so,
I think they're really past due on it, if you ask
yes.
me.
So the alerts are rare and specific to a search area that you're in. Many of you may know of the emergency broadcast system, which, depending on your age, you'll remember that they started doing that back when you were watching children's programs, or there's still. And what it is it's an announcer that comes over the TV, usually during your favorite program, and you say, this station basically follows the such and such boroughs, or it serves the such and such counties, and this is a test to the emergency broadcast system. And they come on there and they make the whole broadcast with that little noise, and they're like, this is the test, the emergency broadcast system. The broadcasters in your area, in voluntary cooperation with other local authorities, have developed the system in the event of an actual emergency to inform you, to tell you about important news and where you should turn or what you should do. If this had been an actual emergency, you would have been prompted with additional information of places to tune and information steps of actions you should have taken. This concludes the test of the emergency broadcast system. We've all heard that before. Yeah. So now it's going to become a little bit different, because it's going to come right through your social media. So if they're doing it on Instagram, my question is, why aren't they doing it on Facebook?
Yeah.
Right? If they really cared about it, I know why they weren't doing Facebook. It might, I don't know, it might annoy some people, or it might disrupt their advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Could be the issue. So again, kudos to to Meta for doing that. I usually don't give them a lot of kudos, as you know, but regardless of the reason that they're doing it, I'm happy that they're doing it. So I'm going to say thank you, and I'm grateful for them. Which I'm usually not very grateful for them, as you know. So, again, we'll keep an eye on that. So thank you, Facebook and Meta, whoever you guys are these days. Thank you for taking responsibility and helping people, because, the statistic, Marcus, I'm not sure if you know this, the statistic right now in the United States for missing children, it's pretty high.
Yeah.
Missing children statistics is really a problem. And in the United States, it's estimated 460,000 children are reported missing every year.
Wow.
That's pretty alarming.
Yeah, it is.
And just to let you know, in Australia, it's estimated 20,000 children are reported missing every year. In Canada, 45,288 children. In Germany, 100,000 children. In India, 96,000. In Jamaica, 1,984 children. In Russia, 45,000. In Spain, 20,000. In the United States, 112,853. In the United States, 460,000 children.
Wow.
Yeah. So, this gets into another thing, which I'm not going to get too much into, and that's Adam. So Adam is a protocol that was developed many, many years ago. It's called Code Adam. And if you've ever been in a department store before and a child ever goes missing, the first thing that one of the store representatives will do is call Code Adam over the PA system. And what that is a set of protocols that everyone in the store knows. They practice it at least a couple times a month. And so when it happens and they call Code Adam, the first thing they do is, they go and they lock all the doors. So nobody can come in and nobody can come out. They don't really explain what they're doing. And then they look around the store for that missing child. If they cannot find that child within 5 minutes, then they call the authorities. If they locate the child, because a lot of times we know that children just like to go wander off. They could be in the dressing room. They could be in the bathroom. They could be at the snack bar. They could be a lot of different places. So there's not a reason to panic. However, there is a sincere issue that we have to lock the doors down, because let's say they get outside, but usually that's not the case. It's usually that they have been taken against their will. A child usually won't wander outside the store if their parents are there. So that's why there's that 5-minute concern. So it's called Code Adam. And if you're wondering, when did Code Adam, start? And that's a really good question. It started in 1994. Again, it's a missing child safety program in the United States and Canada, and it was created by Walmart retail stores in 1994. The type of alert is generally regarded as having been named in memory of Adam Walsh, the 6-year-old son of John Walsh, the host of Fox's America's Most Wanted. So now you guys know where Code Adam came from and how it's still being used today, and has nothing to do with Code Blue like we hear at the hospital. Nothing to do with that. So, by the way, there are other alerts. I'm not going to talk about them today, but there's all kinds of alerts, like beside the amber, the silver, and etc. So, when you hear these different alerts, make sure that you understand what they're looking for. That's really important, because you might be the only person that could actually help that person out and maybe potentially save their lives.
Right.
So really important. So I think it's great that we're using social media, Marcus, for something that is very, very, very beneficial.
That's very true.
Very true. So I think that's a great thing. And so, another interesting news: Sheryl Sandberg steps down as COO of the Facebook parent company Meta. I can't say I told you so, but she says that she's stepping down as chief operating officer of Facebook because she wants to pursue basically some philanthropic
endeavors
she has. And that she doesn't want to disclose the reason for her departure from the company. She'll later disclose that reason in the fall. She's worked for the company for 14 years. Something doesn't smell right there, Marcus.
Something's not right. She possibly could be getting pushed out. That's it.
Yeah, this could be the fact that she didn't want to retire, and it might be the fact that they might have threatened her.
Yeah.
And so it might have been a thing where they gave her a package so she would just shut up.
Right.
But she seems like she's a person that could be a whistleblower.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, I'm really saddened that a person could be bought out to not communicate what's on their mind, that money could buy somebody out. I think money's good for a lot of things, but it never should be used to buy somebody out. So if you don't want to do something, I should never be able to make you by paying you. Oh, you don't want to do it? 1,000, 5,000? How high do you want me to keep going? I mean, that's wrong.
That's very wrong.
But this happens in corporate America all the time. All the time. Unfortunately. So we'll have to see what happens there, Marcus. But I don't think it's going to be a very good outcome from what I can see.
No, it's not. She's definitely going to be vocal about it after the fact, and we'll find out.
We'll find out. And the fact is this, if she left and she took the package, she's going to have to get legal counsel, because she's not going to be able to open her mouth and say anything unless she's brought on the stand as a testimony.
Yeah.
So the way I see it going is it turning into a Supreme Court case. And we all know how much Meta and Facebook need that. I mean, why did they change their name from Facebook to Meta? Did they really think we were that stupid? I mean,
apparently they did. Yeah, they did.
Everybody still refers to them as the parent company Meta, but they still say Facebook. You notice that?
Yeah. That
it
Facebook
reminds me of something, Marcus. When you have a company and you want to change the name of the company, most people don't know this in the United States. If you want nothing to do with that company, not that it was a bad thing, you just want to start clean. If you change the company name, that name will always be on file with that company.
Yeah.
It's a paper change. And when you go to get loans or other types of things you need, you might still have to produce that other company's name. And if there was something against that company, well, that could cause some problems to your new company. So if you're looking to start fresh, start a brand new company, and then formally dissolve that company at the end of your fiscal year. That's my 2 cents on that. I think it's really important that people do those kind of things. And something else that's up, Marcus, is we're getting close to an election time. Yes, voter fraud is a felony. Did you know that?
No, I did not. Like, this is new. This is news to me.
It is a felony. And you're probably wondering, well, what is the felony? Well, it's anytime that you mangle, change, or confuse records or voting rights. Okay. This is why if somebody, let's say, is moving and maybe they're not quite at that new address yet, but they're in transition, it's recommended that you not try to push it because technically what you're doing is illegal. And if that candidate, ladies and gentlemen, gets in, and let's say it's by one vote, well, you're going to have possibly a $10,000 fine in over 3.5 years that you could be not being at your house behind bars.
Yeah.
You'll be on an extended free vacation from the government with all the benefits, and you'll have just some bread, water, and maybe some other nourishing snacks. And you might actually get asked to make the food and license plates.
Pretty sure, yeah, I'm pretty sure that like a lot of these individuals who's been like kind of tampering and and trying to do a lot of underhanded things, they're definitely going to be a little bit more fearful now.
So we have issues with things like people registering wrong, people not being at that address. So voter fraud is extremely rare, but there are lots of ways voter fraud can happen. It's not just technology. And so they're working on systems that could potentially identify a fraudulent vote. But I also think that we're going to have to become more automated the voting system than just going to one of those little manual voting machines.
Yeah, that's very true too.
And so now, if you suddenly, I don't like the idea of somebody voting online. I don't mind you going to a place and using a machine that's connected, but I have a problem with voting machines that are connected online without some type of, case study about how they're going to be safe. Because we see how they hack into things like utilities, and it's a cakewalk to hack into a voting machine.
Oh.
All they have to do is change a few ones to zeros and zeros to ones, and suddenly somebody wins the election.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, the primaries are coming up June 7th. Now, that just basically tells whether that person is going to be awarded the line for the ticket. So you have your Republicans, you have your Democrats, and you have your independents. So if there are multiple people running for those lines, then there is something called basically a win for the line. Now, I want to say something here. I don't want to mention people's names, but I want to say that I've been witness to some people that are running for an election, and I don't know, I don't want to say they're bribing people, but they're having these events and buying them food, not expensive food, but I just feel that what they're doing is like brainwashing the people.
Right.
Because my question is, when the election is over, will you be there to handle those issues? And the other question that comes to mind is this one particular party, very concerned to know where you live and are you a registered voter? Now, almost to the point where I don't want to say it's illegal, but I think it almost borderlines light harassment. I wouldn't say it's really a problem, but I just feel that the people that are getting in today, Marcus, are good at popularity contests, but they're not necessarily the best candidate for that position. I'll give you an example. Let's say we're talking about a school, and that's a different type of election, and they have at different times. Let's say you're running for president of the board for the school. And so maybe you've already served on the board, so you'd be a good candidate because you've served on the board, you understand it, and maybe you own a business, so you have experience in there, as opposed to someone that's never been on the board, or maybe someone that's on the board but works for a company and doesn't have the day in and day out experience. But because the one person has connections to all the ladies groups or the men's groups or what have you, and can, let's say, manipulate them.
Yeah, that's a good word choice.
Manipulate them. And I will tell you that it's a serious thing. But I think even more serious than voter fraud should be voter manipulation. Because we all know that when there's election day and, they go to bring donuts, which is fine, but you cannot be campaigning within 50 or 100 feet of that election poll. But hi, good luck, everybody. I just brought you some donuts for the day. Nothing wrong with that. Of course, they're hoping that maybe those people are going to vote because you brought donuts, but usually all the parties bring donuts.
Yeah.
Right? So I just can't help but notice that some people want to win election, not for the reason that an election was designed, which is to do the best job for the people, but instead to put a mark on their shirt saying that I became president. I think it goes back to something called EGO.
Yeah.
And I've been noticing it a lot more with the older people now. You could have somebody that endorses you from your party, but yet you could still lose because the other person is manipulating all the Facebook groups and running all the coffee clutches. And who is the husband going to vote for? The one that the wives tell them to vote for. So I consider that manipulation, Marcus. I don't know about you.
That is clear manipulation, and it's a really easy way to just really screw up the system that we have built to supposedly work as perfectly as it should, but it's
in a democratic way, not mean Democrat or Republican, but democratic voting by choice.
Right.
It's very interesting, and I feel that people today need to not be won over by the fact that you bought me a slice of pizza. Or
no, not at all.
You bought me a drink.
Right.
I just think that is like ambushing me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And especially, Marcus, when it's a day or two before the election.
They get you all the time.
Come and join us for a slice of pizza. Now, most of the people coming there are not coming just for the free pizza. A lot are, but they're coming because when you take the free pizza, Marcus, well, it's free. Yeah, it's free, but you're going to vote for me, right? And I remember the one person saying, "Oh, you're going to vote for me." I'm like, I don't know who I'm going to vote for yet. I'm still reviewing my choices. Okay, we'll make sure if you have any questions, you contact me. Or if you want to come out to my pool, I'm having a party. Just make sure you vote for me. It just gets under my skin a little bit because it just seems so dishonest. So voter fraud right now is at a certain percentage. And if you had to ask me right now, what do you think this percentage of voter fraud is, Marcus?
Yeah, I'll say that is a little bit more than 20%.
Well, depending on what place, there have because we only can look at the last years. right around in 2020, we had 475 cases of potential voter fraud.
Wow. That's a couple hundred too many, John.
Right. But if you look at the percentages, it's a very, very low. It's a very, very low percentage. However, that low percentage could be the difference of tipping an election unfairly to an opponent that does not deserve it.
Right. I agree.
So you all know that first responders, us, we're all here to help people and do the right thing, right? What if someone, something, or happen an autonomous vehicle gets in the way of a fire truck trying to get to a fire?
Oh man. Wow. So what happened next, John?
Well, I'm glad you asked me. I mean, can you just fathom that? I mean, the fact that a fire truck gets in the way. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, I had to take a quick pause to kind of try to imagine what that looks like.
Well, it's really simple. You got one of these small little autonomous vehicles, and it suddenly is now blocking the exit of a fire truck that is relentlessly trying to get to a fire. Let's think about those few moments, those few seconds, which could be the difference of somebody living or dying.
Right.
And before I give you the ending on this, I want to let you know that this is very similar to a case. You might have had friends maybe in grammar school or high school, and they thought it was fun that maybe they should pull the fire alarm. It'd be kind of cool. It'd be a neat prank. And, I've had friends that they thought about it. I even had friends that did it, unfortunately. And, they had the things where the newer ones had the sprays that came out. And this was even grammar school. So now they've made it a little harder to do it. So you have to really go through a few extra things, pull and whatever. You have to pull something down and then twist, or you have to do a few things. You can't just do it so easily. So it's not you have to be very deliberate. You can't just bang it. Well, the same thing comes into play, Marcus.
Right.
Let's suppose that somebody, a friend of yours that's at a school, and now they set off a fire alarm. And the fire engines race out to your school. Okay? They have to waste their time. They have to go around the school, and we can't find any fire. The same day, Marcus, at the same time, another calls in within seconds. But because the school came in first, they went to the school. Within a few seconds later, another call comes in for a fire. However, this one is a real fire of a house burning down. And the wife is choking on smoke. The husband is laying on the ground in the basement underneath one of these great big water tanks. And there was obviously a gas fire. And so they get there, they pull him out, and everything seems fine. And the wife says to him, "Is he going to make it?" And he says, "I don't know. We might have been too late." And that story, if it doesn't put a mark on you, I don't know what will. Within a week or two, they followed up to go to the hospital. Usually the first responders don't do that, but in this case, they did.
Right.
And the fire department followed up because they felt it was their fault, and also the fact that this school kept having false fire alarms. And nobody was doing anything.
Oh, man. That's just terrible.
And so because it was a prep school, I went to a prep school, but because it was a prep school and it was a pretty highfalutin area, the headmaster didn't want to get anybody in trouble. They would handle things themselves. So after this happened multiple times, the chief of the fire department went down and said, "Look, this is the third fire. He's like, I don't care who you're trying to protect. You're going to show me. It's like, oh, okay. They go inside and they suddenly look at the cameras and they find the one kid that never exited the building.
Hmm.
And that was probably the suspect. And it was. But what happened when they went to the hospital? Because they went there and talked to the cases. You know what happened? We had a lady whose husband was just about dying from a fire in the inhalation.
Yeah.
And he may not make it. Well, why? Because we were too busy screwing around with your fire, which was a little game. See, this is what happens when you waste people's time on going to a fire that's not real. And when they went to the hospital, he actually made the kid come to see the person at the hospital. And the person died. They died.
Woo. Yeah, man. You know,
that's a real big one.
Yeah, it is. And like, there's no consequences to this, you know, and like, you got to ask, like, why is this happening? You know, we should be more tight with these things by now. And
absolutely. And I think the thing with the autonomous vehicle, this just proves the same thing like we learned about the wonderful Tesla, which I've decided to not get. You just sit in it and have a recreational ride, and suddenly your entertainment system is just going to give you a blast of fire. And then you can't get out of your own car because the doors are supposed to be able to open manually don't, because the electrical system's messed up and they can't get out of their car unless you smash the window.
Right.
And so things like that tell me the electric car industry is not ready yet.
No, it's not.
And also, it tells me that the autonomous car industry is not ready either, or the autonomous car industry is not ready, because that car should have had sensors to be able to stay away from emergency vehicles.
Yeah.
That wasn't something that they thought about, and they were like, oops. That could have been somebody's life.
Could have been.
But I don't think people take these things seriously, Marcus, until there's a fatality, until someone loses a life, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a big money grab. You know, there's a lot of greed, unfortunately, with a lot of our corporations, and they rather, like, you know, rush it off the assembly line and, you know, and get it on the street, and you know, before you know it, we got these catastrophes happening.
So I think it comes down to the fact that the software is way in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not ready for driverless taxis here.
No.
Maybe in a closed community. That's about it.
Yeah.
But we're not ready for this. I mean, it blocked a fire truck, for crying out loud.
Wow.
Luckily, nobody got hurt, but it's still, somebody could have.
Right.
So I always say technology is great, but we have to know what we're doing with technology. And have we really thought things clearly? Or are we just running to the punch because it sounds good?
Yeah.
So we'll have to follow that and see, you know, where the heck that's where that's going. I don't know, Marcus. It's going to be very, very interesting. What's happening, and usually things like this don't get better until there's a lawsuit. It's not nice to say that, right?
Yeah, that's what's going to come down to it, you know, because I think our government is too gunshot about, you know, wanting to, like, you know, make us completely electric by a certain X amount of year, and So I don't think they're gonna, do anything about it. So it's gonna take for a lawyer to go and sue these guys.
But and this is no secret in case any of you guys watching this show, without naming names, our current president has a son or family member that owns a battery company.
Yeah.
Thus, which is why they're giving rebates and incentives. I have nothing against the battery industry, but I don't think your son or daughter or relative should influence a decision to whether we're moving to electric cars.
No, it shouldn't. So
nepotism, favoritism, call it what you will. I call it a crime.
Right.
And the Supreme Court blocks Texas Social. Now, what's this all about? Well, the Supreme Court blocks the Texas social media law that tech companies were warned would allow hateful content to run rampant. So the Supreme Court just recently blocked the controversial Texas social media law from taking effect after tech industries and other opponents warned it could allow for hateful content to run rampant online. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Why does it feel like that this was that someone approached these guys before about this?
Exactly. I mean, if this legislation would have gone through, it would prohibit online platforms like Facebook, Meta, whatever name they choose this week, Twitter, and other platforms, LinkedIn, etc., from moderating or removing content based on a viewpoint.
Yeah, it seems like these guys been warned before about this, and now the Supreme Court is stepping in, and this I don't think social media companies should have that much control over what you put out anyways, but
I mean, knowing where it could go, prohibit online platforms from moderating. So, if we prohibit them, that's what would happen. But I mean, I think it needs to be spelled out a little bit more. I just feel that this is more about money and about how it's going to affect ad revenue share.
It is.
The lower courts did block the law, but an appeals court allowed it to move forward as it deliberated on a broader case, which caused it to be overturned.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that this is happening in Texas.
Right.
But here's an interesting thing. The decision does not rule on the merits of the law known as the HB 20, but imposes an injunction blocking it from taking effect while federal courts decide whether it can be enforced. So the HB 20 law is a little bit different, but they've temporarily suspended that while this is going. I mean, this is becoming nuts.
It is.
And our last story for the night, we have an interesting story. Imagine getting a watch, right, that you put on you, and it barely can last the day on battery life.
Sounds like another failed experiment.
Seems like an oxymoron.
Yeah, it's like a failed experiment. What? Again, it's like we're rushing to do things. We want to get it off the assembly line and make a buck, but it's proven that you don't know what you're doing.
I think, like you said, I call it the Microsoft get rich patch update or software.
Yeah.
And I think, although the watch looks somewhat nice, having a watch that you wear every day that conks out right after work, well, I guess you better be home by 5.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
also could mean that if this is true, that the Pixel Watch will come in slightly below the Apple Watch 7. But this just makes me think, Marcus, as I was sharing a few weeks ago, you weren't with us, but we had a show and we talked about the fact that Apple's allowing people to repair their own iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We talked about it a few weeks ago. And they let you rent the 79-pound lab of industrial equipment, which looks like you have to be certified to be able to use it.
Yeah.
And in order to get to your battery, ladies and gentlemen, on your iPhone, it's not very easy. Has to go into a device. It has to basically be heated. And the screen needs to basically be pulled off. Your battery is under the screen. Why the heck wouldn't they make it that you could take off the back cover? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And now, if you get any of those wires wrong, you got to do it again. And then if you don't get something right, the phone won't start. If the battery is not proper, it'll tell you that the battery is not an original battery. So now you have to go through another third-party support to basically let them re-authenticate the battery with the phone. Sounds like a hassle to me.
Sounds like too much. Yeah, way too much to do. Yeah.
But they did this because people were responding to the fact that, hey, Apple won't let us fix their phones. So this is the way they shut everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a poor, very poor response to allowing us to fix the phone. This phone is not user fixable. A 79-pound bunch of junk to build your own little lab and then be careful you don't burn yourself. And it's like quite a few steps if you watch our show. A lot of steps. And you don't get to keep the equipment. You get to rent it and you have to send it back.
Yeah. And I wonder how much they charge you if you missing anything.
Looking at that equipment, I gotta guess that equipment's got to be worth $10,000, $15,000 easy.
Yeah.
They give you an industrial heat machine that sucks the screen right off.
Yep. Good. Wow.
I don't know. This is just an example between this and the Pixel Watch. Everyone's out there trying to make a fast buck. I get it.
Yeah.
Why can't we develop something that actually works, like right the first time?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. So.
I guess they're too desperate to make a buck.
Yeah. And I think they've gotten so big now. These companies gotten so big now that they don't even care about if it's going to embarrass them or not. They
just pay a PR firm and we'll just say it was a inconvenience or something. Like, what did Apple do when they had an issue with the company overseas, had a problem? So they're going to stop using them, but that company overseas really doesn't care. They're probably a dime a dozen over there in these other countries.
Right.
I don't know. It's sad, but this is the problem when you deal with manufacturing processes that are not in a standard. And I think a product like this should be told up front that if you need to change the battery, this is what you're going to need to do, or you're going to need to pay. They should publish that somewhere.
They really should.
They won't.
No, they won't. Yeah. They probably just roll out another Amber Alert campaign.
I'll tell you when this will probably happen.
Mm-hmm.
When you get this equipment, I bet there was a release you signed, but we all know these releases are nothing. And when somebody gets hurt or burns themselves, that's when you're going to see their manufacturing process change, because they can't retool the iPhone overnight. I mean, this design would have to be totally overhauled.
Right.
I mean, they'd have to have a cover in the back, which they could do, make a little door, and take the battery out. Like, I don't see what the big deal is.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's pitiful.
Yeah.
Well, we are at the top of our hour. I don't know where our time goes, Marcus. And just want to let you guys know we're celebrating our birthday. We're turning 2. That's 1. What do we got here? Just a few weeks. So that's going to be in 2 weeks and basically 2 days. JMOR will be doing a live show from Oakland, New Jersey. We'll have some live guests. We're going to have cake. We'll sing happy birthday. We have lots of great giveaways and balloons and mugs and all kinds of great stuff. And you can actually get that by going to eventbrite.com and typing happy birthday JMOR. And you'll see it. And you can RSVP, do RSVP soon because space is limited. Well, I guess we got to say goodbye to everybody. Until then, I ask you guys to be smart when you're purchasing. And if something doesn't make sense to you, boycott it. Send a message to the manufacturer and let them know that there are other solutions for what's out there. They're not the only one that makes the product. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, and we will see you guys next Friday night. Be sure to catch all our other great shows. There's lots of them out there, including the brand new JCM Academy on John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. We'll answer questions like how to start a business. So much more. Can't wait to see you on our next show. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. Take care.
All right.